Resurrection came in like a wrecking ball. From start to finish, the first season was absolutely explosive. Whatever expectations we came in with after New Blood were shattered by what Resurrection brought to the table. With fewer episodes to work with, everything that happened in Resurrection Season 1 mattered, and the showrunners made sure to use the available time as well as it possibly could have been. With such a gripping momentum, plenty of important details could have rushed past you before you could even recognize them. Today we are looking at details in Dexter Resurrection Season 1 that give us hints about what Season 2 may have in store. Starting with one of the most promising, the return of Brian Moser. When Dexter first meets Prater, it isn't long before he is invited into the secret serial killer vault. You know, where Leon held all of the trophies he'd gathered over the years from serial killers both active and inactive. He had paraphernalia from John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, and of course the notorious Bay Harbor Butcher. But there amongst all of the forbidden trophies and stolen evidence was the very table the ice truck killer used to drain his victims of their blood. Of course, that was also the same table he would eventually die on, when his own brother slit his throat. The scene moves past the inclusion of the ice truck killer's table pretty quickly, but that was sort of a misdirection. It made it seem as if Brian Moser's role in Dexter's story was done, as if there wouldn't be any further mention of Bani beyond that small nod to his standout role in Season 1 of the original series, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, before the first season even ends, Brian finds his way back to the forefront of Dexter's psyche, and he has a few strong opinions about where Dexter found himself and how he ended up there. He isn't encouraging like Harry's visage when it appears. He isn't corrective and calming like Deb is when Dexter's mind conjures her. Instead, he is belittling and undermining, evil even. He suggests that Dexter may have to eat Batista to stay alive once he is locked in the vault. He speaks as if the moral compass that stopped Dexter from killing Angel is a mistake, something that only caused him trouble and wasn't worth dealing with. Given everything that Dexter was going through, it makes sense that a darker side may arise yet again and make him consider ideas like that. After all, if he had no code, if he had just killed Angel and continued to manipulate Prater, he wouldn't have been left to rot in a soundproof cage surrounded by reminders of his own failures. His trophies taken by a maniac, his old friend dead and bled out on the cold tile, his son inches away but incapable of helping him. Without the code, none of those things would have come to pass. Brian's emergence in his darkest hour shows that Dexter isn't totally above violent and reckless behavior just yet. It's simply something that he keeps at bay so that he can feel justified in his decision to continue killing. Brian arrives to remind Dexter that the two of them aren't so different, that he could slip into the kind of thoughtless, heartless killing Brian indulged in if he just let himself loose. Everyone was so hyped when Brian appeared, sitting on one of the tables in Prater's vault, taunting Dexter and daring him to be as ruthless and vile as possible. What was less surprising was Dexter's response. He looked at the Mirage and told his brother, "I'm glad I killed you when I had the chance." The importance of this could be overlooked easily, but when we think about the other times Brian has appeared to Dexter, it becomes glaringly obvious that he didn't show up this time for nothing. In the past, when Brian showed up, Dexter gave in to him. He drove all the way to Nebraska, having sex with strangers, shooting guns while speeding down poorly lit country roads, all while on his journey to kill Jonah Mitchell, the son of the Trinity Killer, if necessary. Brian brings the worst out of Dexter. He encourages him to behave in ways that Harry would have never approved of. But here's the part that matters the most. Dexter gave in before. He made the road trip, killed with impunity, and never looked back. This time, as soon as he saw that recklessness creeping back in, he rejected it. He used to be sad that he had to kill his brother. But when he appeared in Prater's vault, he didn't back down even a little. Dexter clung to his morals the best he could and made sure that he didn't disgrace Batista any more than he already had. He made sure that he avenged his death and made a clean getaway. So what does this tell us about Season 2? First, we have to address the fact that it has been announced that Christian Camargo has been listed as a recurring character in the next Season 2. Dexter's inner monologue is already being dominated by the memory of Harry, and James Remar has also been announced as a returning main cast member. That can only mean that Dexter is going to be living with an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other as he navigates the challenges that this new season will bring. For Harrison's sake, he has been trying to temper his urges and feed his dark passenger in the most careful ways possible. But with Brian back in his mind, and with more to lose than he's had in over a decade, Dexter is obviously going to be struggling with keeping the code and keeping Harrison safe versus acting with impunity and killing whoever he wants, whenever he wants. Seeing Brian in Season 1 may have felt like a cool homage to the original series, a reminder of what got us all hooked in the first place. But the truth is that it has much larger implications for Season 2. We are probably going to witness a treacherous battle within Dexter in this next installment. He is going to have to decide if he wants to be the man who alienated his son by killing someone like Sergeant Logan, or someone his son can relate to look up to by practicing self-control. We know for sure that it's coming. Now we just have to see how it's going to play out. Hopefully, Dexter makes us proud. And the hints for season 2 don't stop there. Lieutenant Quinn's call. Someone else we were happy to see on our screens again was Detective Joseph Quinn. First, he is seen reconciling with Angel's retirement, and next thing we know, Claudette Wallace was calling him to check in on Batista's case in New York. Without fully knowing the consequences, Quinn let Claudette know that Batista was no longer the captain of homicide at Miami Metro, and that he retired very suddenly without any indication that he was going to leave. That derailed all of Angel's progress in New York and all but painted him into a corner if he wanted to finally catch Dexter once and for all. Before too long, he was dead on the floor of Prater's vault. And who should come ringing his phone but one Joey Quinn? What did this tell us? Simply put, Quinn isn't going away. And he's no longer just a supporting character or a plot device. Quinn is coming into season 2 with a full identity and with a very specific purpose. What originally seemed like another quick homage to the original series evolved into an entire storyline all its own. What we can infer from Quinn's reemergence is that he is going to be a major problem for Dexter in coming seasons. Desmond Harrington is another actor who has been confirmed as a recurring character in season 2 of Resurrection. And not just recurring, but a main character. Given everything he knows about Dexter already and everything he is bound to learn when he comes to New York, we have to accept the fact that he is going to become an issue for Dexter. And even if Dexter doesn't solve the Quinn problem in this next season, season 3 has already been greenlit, so we may be feeding off of Quinn's return for more than one season. Either way, his return in season 1 tells us that Dexter is either going to have to kill him, frame him, or convince him to leave without issue. If Quinn wants to make it to season 3, his best bet is to show Dexter that he isn't a threat, even though we all know that he will be. The things we have come to expect from Quinn so far are going to have to be updated. We have seen his dedication to catching Dexter before, and without Deb there to keep him at bay, the case of the Bay Harbor Butcher may become all-consuming for him. By appearing in season 1, Quinn reminded us that Dexter's past still has the chance to catch up to him. It almost did with Angel's appearance in Iron Lake. And now, even with Angel 6 feet under and permanently off the case, Dexter's past is still nipping at his heels. Will Quinn be the one to finally get Dexter in cuffs? Will he follow his gut again and save himself before he ends up like Dokes, Maria, and Angel? Will he level with Dexter and choose to turn a blind eye and step aside? These are things we can't know yet, but what we do know is that his cameo in season 1 shouldn't have been ignored. He's coming for Dexter, and the results are likely going to be fatal, but remember, he wasn't the only person who met up with Batista at his retirement announcement, and he isn't the only one coming back. Masuka's brief cameo. We know him, we love him, we can never confidently guess what's going to come out of his mouth. That's right, Vincent Masuka is back in the fold. He may have seemed like nothing more than comic relief in the original series, but season 2 is proving that that is not the case. The infamous Masuka is making a reappearance in season 2 of Dexter Resurrection, and the extent of his role is not yet clear. But from what we know about him, it's likely that it won't be another passing scene. Masuka is crude, he's lewd, but he is so much more than that. Remember in the original series just how much Masuka's dedication to his field shone through. He was always doggedly applying himself to every case that the team was trying to solve. He went out of his way to find things other people would have overlooked, and he even went so far as to start teaching and training the next set of forensic analysts that Miami would need when he became a professor in the final seasons. Masuka is a beast in the lab. It's like nothing short of a serious medical emergency can tear him away from his craft. That may have been endearing and quirky when it first became known, but it also made him all the easier to underestimate. Recall in the ice truck killer investigation, Vince was the one who discovered the lozenge wrapper in the rat's nest, the very piece of evidence that gave the team the partial print that helped them identify the ITK's identity. Not only that, but in season 2, as the hunt for the Bay Harbor Butcher ramped up, he was the one who recognized that they could get evidence from the algae found on the bags from the bay. He ran into the office, excited to announce that he had just busted the case wide open. Even Dexter had to take pause, saying to himself that he couldn't believe that Vince Masuka would be the one to take him down. But it was right there. Masuka almost ruined the entire franchise by finding evidence that could bring Dexter down all the way back in the second season of the original series. And when Ramon Prado came through, trying to force the department to pursue a potential lead that couldn't have been connected to the case they were working on, we got that famous line from Masuka when he set the record straight. That's science. And science is a cold-hearted bitch with a 14-inch strap on. Suffice to say that Vince doesn't play around when it comes to solving murders, and unfortunately for Dexter, the next murder he is bound to be the most interested in is that of Captain Angel Batista. Quinn has also become very tight with Masuka. Where there was friction initially, there is now a shared respect and brotherhood. Masuka has more than proved himself to be one of the best forensic techs in the game, and that is a resource that Quinn will need as he pursues answers himself. With both of them making an appearance in season 1 and coming back for season 2, it's hard to imagine there isn't a classic Miami team up in the works. Getting back to classic Dexter, you may not have noticed these next details because they are understated, but they still made a major impact and hint at what we can expect this October as well. One of the best things about the writers and showrunners that make Dexter happen is that when fans speak, they listen. Of course, the vision is still all their own, but they aim to make sure that we are getting the best experience possible. Criticism from viewers is a key part of that. Resurrection was peak Dexter, and that is due in large part to two important decisions the creators made when shaping this season, and you guessed it, the choices were heavily fan-inspired. First, there was the backlash about the finale of New Blood. Don't even get me started on the original series' finale. The most common critique was that the ending felt rushed and all over the place. Not long after, we got the satisfaction of seeing Dexter finally take down the big bad. We were watching him bleed out in the snow after being shot by his own son. Fans thought the pacing of the finale was really off and could have been done much better. For that reason, when Resurrection was in the works, the team made sure that there was nothing unnecessary in any episode. Every episode was packed with perfectly timed action beats and necessary plot and character exposition. No filler at all, really. The pacing improvement is no doubt why Season 1 of Resurrection is one of the highest rated installments in the entire franchise. The rising action, climax, and conclusion of the plot were all hit perfectly, and fans noticed. This time, the finale felt well done and satisfactory, with Dexter on top after an insane ride for 10 solid episodes straight, and it felt doubly good to see Dexter win because the writers gave us something else we have been missing since the earliest seasons of the original series, really, a return to the code. Dexter's emotional descent after Rita's death saw him kill a number of innocent people. Maybe people could forgive the incident with Rankin in the boat fueling station bathroom because Dexter was losing his grip while grieving his wife. We tend to ignore him killing the pot farmer in Nebraska, mainly because the guy was holding Dexter at gunpoint, threatening to rob or kill him. Then, there was the killing of Jonathan Farrow, someone Dexter believed fit the code, but actually turned out to be innocent. And Dexter even felt devastated after that one himself. Next, he had his sights set on killing Laguerta, someone who definitely didn't fit the code and didn't deserve his table. Then, in Season 8, he killed Clint McKay, not because he was a killer or a predator, but because he was inconvenient for his relationship with Hannah. Finally, in New Blood, we watched Dexter snap the neck of Sergeant Logan, a completely innocent and beloved member of the Iron Lake community, just so he could avoid prison time. Let's just call it like it is. Dexter has been completely off the rails since he targeted Maria. Every season since then, he has killed a completely innocent person simply for his own convenience. Dexter became America's favorite serial killer because he was the killer with a code. He only killed people who killed people. When he strays from that, it's hard to root for him, and we want to root for Dexter. He is a complex guy with a murky moral compass, but there's an argument and an explanation for what he usually does. When he kills in cold blood, however, it's extremely disappointing to say the least. Fans feel disconnected from him in those moments. That's exactly why everyone was ecstatic to see him return to form in Season 1 of Resurrection. He didn't kill anyone who wasn't a serial killer. He spared Angel's life, knowing what it could cost him when they made it out of the vault. He even let Elsa's shitty landlord go, and not just because he was interrupted. No, in Resurrection, Dexter started by taking out Red, a remorseless serial killer, and ended with dumping Prater in the harbor to avenge Angel and keep Harrison safe. His process felt righteous again. Even Dexter acknowledged it, saying, "I'm exactly who you want me to be," as he looked directly into the camera in the final scene. The finale didn't leave anything to be desired and wrapped everything up nicely while also leaving us with some to look forward to. This tells us that we can expect similar quality in the upcoming season. A well-paced, action-packed, wild ride, classic Dexter, code intact with no wasted time or space. Basically, we can expect the peakness to continue into Season 2 and maybe even beyond. Now, as mentioned, Brian Moser is going to be back, probably tempting Dexter to stray from the code. That is his typical MO whenever he comes around after all. We can only hope that Dexter will resist and continue to honor Harry's code. Mia's off-screen. Dithmia Lapierre's death in Dexter. Resurrection Season 1 is one of the most suspicious moments in the entire season. Unlike most major deaths in the Dexter universe, viewers never actually watch Mia die. Instead, the audience only sees the aftermath after a prison guard, acting on Leon Prater and Charlie Brown's orders, makes her apparent suicide look convincing. The lack of an on-screen death immediately stands out because Dexter has always been a series that usually shows important character deaths in graphic detail. That choice has fueled speculation that Mia could still be alive. Television often follows an unwritten rule. If audiences do not clearly witness a character's death, there is always room for that character to return. Mia was also one of the season's most memorable new villains. Kristen Ritter's performance made her instantly popular, and her twisted chemistry with Dexter suggested there was much more story left to tell. Ending her arc so abruptly felt unusual, especially after spending several episodes building her into Dexter's closest mirror of the season. The finale also leaves behind a subtle clue that fans quickly noticed. Among Leon Prater's files, Mia's status appears to remain marked as active, despite the audience believing she died in prison. That could simply be a continuity mistake or an outdated file, but it could just as easily be deliberate foreshadowing. The writers knew fans would examine every detail of those files, making the choice difficult to dismiss as accidental. None of that proved Mia survived technically. Everything shown on screen still pointed toward her being dead, and the series currently treats her as such. But the combination of an off-screen killing, an unusually popular character, and those lingering visual clues clues from her file left the door open just enough for a believable surprise return in season 2. The writers could reveal that Prater or Charlie secretly arranged to have her fake her death and get smuggled out of prison. That sounds really surprising, but it also remains consistent with the show's famous track record of having major twists and elaborate deceptions. And of course now, it has officially been announced that Kristen Ritter is returning for season 2. Does that mean Mia is still alive, or will she only come back in flashbacks that fill in the details of her death? She could even be an apparition like Harry, Deb, or Brian, though that's less likely because she didn't have as big of an impact on Dexter as they did. That means it is very probable that Mia is still alive, and that's something we've been hoping for since the authorities found her hanging in her cell. Maybe this time around Dexter will be able to take her out the old-fashioned way. After all, if she is still alive, she definitely isn't in prison, and that means that she is a killer of the innocent who escaped justice. She fits the code for sure. On top of that, she poses a threat to Harrison if she has any interest in proving that she wasn't actually the one who killed Ryan Foster, so her days are likely numbered. And since Dexter took care of everyone else, Mia and Al are the only two killers left from Prater's serial killer club. Hard to imagine they make it to season 3. A few other details about season 2 have been revealed, including the return of Uma Thurman as Charlie Brown, Harrison's new potential love interest played by Nona Parker Johnson, and the identity of the New York Ripper, portrayed by popular Succession actor Brian Cox, but their storylines are much harder to predict right now. But the news is still just as exciting. Even this far out from the premiere, we can see the different parts of season 2 coming together in a real way, but are still sure to run into plenty of plot twists that absolutely no one sees coming yet. But which detail stuck out the most to you? Who are you most excited to see return? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Slash that subscribe button for more Dexter breakdowns and to make sure you're here when season 2 drops. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.